Penny Hardaway's group. That's a group we like. What are you doing right now? Are you doing like a bit?
I find this game to be fun.
All right. That's what we were doing before we just clicked record on this one. It was just like 10 seconds of, oh, no. Like, what? Should we do an entire video like that?
I'm sorry. We're doing we're doing what we can do, but we are somewhat delirious at this point. So you just gotta excuse us. We might do this.
Well, it's a
We're not
Penny
doing that tomorrow.
Hardaway's team. Penny Hardaway's team is at home against that's how Tony Ben's Virginia. It's, who do you like this one?
We're not doing this whole video. I refuse. I'm sorry.
I was gonna call your bluff. I wasn't gonna stop until you do. Okay. Whoo! Let's try this again. Memphis is a good basketball team. They're 8-2 this season. I was all over Memphis on Saturday, getting a win against Clemson. I am mad at Memphis because I had Memphis covering 2.5, and they sent who was it? Was it David Jones? They sent somebody to the line. It might have been Caleb Mills. One of those two went to the line with 3.1 seconds left in the game, up 3. I needed him to cover 2.5. This person went 0 for 2 from the free throw line, and then Penny intentionally fouls like the analytics guru that apparently he is. Just a crushing backdoor cover. But I was really impressed with Memphis because Clemson led that game by 10 multiple times. And Memphis just kept kind of clawing back. They're a really difficult team to play, especially at home on that court where it just feels like everything is like a tint of blue. It feels like you're playing on a Boise State football field. So in walks Virginia, Tony Bennett, Virginia, who, guess what? They play like a Tony Bennett, Virginia team. This is the number 2 defense in the country. They play super slow. You're going to have to beat Virginia by either asserting your will and playing your A game or being willing to grind it out against a grind you down Virginia team. So what do you think happens in this one?
So I have a lot of faith that Memphis can grind out a basketball game, in my opinion. And I don't know if I'm by myself on that, but because of the amount of games, the age, and just where these players are at in their careers, I think that they do have the ability to grind out games and, not get rattled and do what needs to be done to win basketball games. With that said, I currently stand on the party that I'm not buying this Virginia basketball team, and people have been trying to tell me to buy them, but I just can't get there yet with them. This might be a game that if Virginia does win, I might get there with them. But Memphis has a great opportunity right now to win a basketball game against for what people consider to be a good Virginia basketball team at home. Because despite what Memphis has done this year so far, it still seems that a lot of people are reluctant to say Memphis is good and reluctant to say Memphis is a team that should be ranked. So this is a big game for them, I think, to send a message.
I do think it's that. With that said, I have a little bit of a flip. I'm doing my whole body language PhD psychologist thing. I think I'm getting a minor in psychology if I have a major in body language. I think Memphis thought the big statement win was Clemson,
Oh,
which
little we did it already.
which
Ooh.
by default makes this game a little bit trappier. Now, this is not Memphis's last game before the holiday. I think that bodes well. They actually have a sleepy little home game against Vanderbilt on Saturday, which they're one of the last teams that plays this weekend. So I don't think they're going to like no-show. I think this team's too good to no-show, quite frankly. Now, with that said, we did see them no-show, right? They played Kyle Neptune for the Battle for Atlantis championship. You would think that's a game you get up for. And instead, Kyle Neptune had his boys ready. And Kyle Neptune's team looks horrible. So we know the floor is pretty low for Memphis. And I do think, like, if you are a team with a low floor, Tony Bennett's not the person you want to see standing on the other side of the court because he will exploit your weaknesses.
Does this Virginia team have enough to exploit weaknesses? Like I'm a big
Yes, they
Ryan
do.
Dunn guy. I like McNeely. Like I can never really get there with Reese Beekman. Do they have enough though?
Yes.
They do. Okay. I'm not of
Yeah,
that camp.
here's why. We've seen it. We saw them. I mean, they opened the season with a good, not great win against Florida on a neutral,
Mm.
against Texas A&M, who is a team you and I both love and trust to the fullest. Virginia just dismantled them, like completely smothered them.
Didn't they not have a good amount of other players and kind of a schedule loss?
I think they had their players. They got the players back.
Okay.
Okay, no, they didn't have Radford. They had Henry Coleman back though.
All right.
It was a schedule loss, sure. Yeah. Was Syracuse a schedule loss? Syracuse looks good right now. Virginia smacked them, hung 84 on them.
Okay. All right. I mean, yeah, like I said, this is gonna be a game that gets me there. And it takes a lot to get me there because I have a lot of mass. So, it's tough to push me places. And it's tough to get me places. I will get there with Virginia if they win this basketball game. But you're gonna have to come in and earn it against my Tigers. You don't just come into the FedEx Forum and think pack line defense is gonna get it done. I'm just saying.
So Ken Palm, your favorite, has Virginia as a 2-point underdog on the road. I believe that's what the betting lines opened up at as well. Like 2-point favorite at home is Memphis. I'm a little surprised. I thought on paper it'd be more like 4. I think that's me giving Memphis credit. With that said, I'm talking myself into Virginia cart. Talking myself into them because here's why. If this is your Tigers, I think this might be my Tony Bennett Virginia Cavaliers.
You don't want this to be your Cavs.
I don't, but what if I do? Because I like Virginia teams when they can shoot. This year's team can shoot. I really like Ryan Dunn. I think he's like extremely
I love Ryan Dunn.
I really like Ryan Dunn. I think he's extremely fun. I think McNeely and Rhodey, I don't think they're great by any means, but I like that they can both shoot and they're both gunners. McNeely's definitely the better shooter. McNeely's absurd, by the way. 55% from 3 this season. Like, he's just a freak, and they get him so many shots a game. I don't know. I kind of see the formula here. Like, I was doing a write-up for one of my jobs the other day where I had to pick, like, futures, and I picked Virginia to win the ACC because I think they're really undervalued. I don't think anybody's talking about them. And Tony Bennett's still, like, a super elite coach, and people are a little skeptical because the last couple teams were bad. But, oh, by the way, remember, the last couple teams were bad because I think Kihei Clark was actually kind of horrible, and we didn't want to ever acknowledge that. Like, when you run your team through Kihei Clark, I think you're going to be limited on how your team looks. And no offense to Armand Franklin, like, those guys weren't that good. Reese Beekman's always been good. He was never the problem on those teams. And I think this year they have a team that makes a little more sense. They have no expectations. They're still tough as shit. And I think this is more of a get-up game. Like, they haven't had a big game since November against Texas A&M. I think Virginia will show up for this one. Memphis is going to have to earn it. They could, but they're going to have to.
Okay. This might be a little, I guess this is shaping up to be a sleepers versus sleepers thing. Not sure if we're keeping the records on that. Feel like I might be tied with you. I'm definitely not down. I'll have to go review the tape on these previews.
Definitely.
What?
Definitely not?
I'm definitely not down. No.
Definitely?
Definitely not.
I don't know about definitely.
Well, I mean, just even thinking about like you said Baylor would win. I said Michigan State would win. So there's
No,
one right there.
I picked Michigan State.
You did?
Yeah, we both picked Michigan State. I said I didn't
wow.
feel good about it. I said Michigan State would lose one of the next few after Baylor, though.
Okay. All right. Well, my apologies, and I take it back. I think that I'm not buying. I get it. I get the elite defense, but I think that Memphis has enough weapons and enough guys that can get it done for them, in my opinion. So I think it'll be semi close. It'll end up being an 8-point win for Memphis, I think, though.
Okay. I think I'm going to take Virginia. I don't feel good about it at all. That's where I'm at. I'm going to take Virginia to win the game. I'm going to take Virginia to cover. Obviously, they're 2-point underdogs. And I'm sorry, because I think Penny should be in the running for Coach of the Year. I'll say that right now. What Penny's done so far this season, I think he should be in the running for Coach of the Year. I love this team. They're old. They're tough. I think this is just kind of a quick little schedule loss for them. They played Saturday in a big emotional spot at home. Now it's Virginia again. Virginia, I thought laid an egg. Like, they were looking ahead to Memphis a little bit, but they ended up grinding out the win. Reese Beekman with 2 big clutch plays late. I think we get Virginia on their A game here. And if we get Tony Bennett's team on his A game against Penny Hardaway's team, I will take Tony Bennett every single time, no matter where the game is being played.
Penny statement game. we're here.
Wow. Okay. Legacy game. We'll see what happens. We'll be here to recap it tomorrow night after the game. Good luck, Memphis fans. Tell me how much you hate me in the comments. I still love your team, I promise. But Tony Bennett's handsome.